All right, let's start having some fun here. Let's start with the middle section here again, which is the family file. And I'm just going to pick inside of here and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And we're going to notice that there's some objects here. There's this big green circle, and that's a connector. We're not going to talk too much about that, but we can add connectors in from our electrical tab, and you can click on here. And that's really the component that transmits all of the electrical specific data, like the volts and the watts and the amps and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that when we get into creating some custom families. Clicking out. Zooming in a little bit closer. Now remember, I changed this view to be wireframe. If I click over here and change this back to be hidden line, I'm not going to see that bottom piece, because if I zoom out, you can see in this family file, because it is face hosted, okay, it comes with this kind of this plate here that we use to host our object as we model it. So this is kind of within the family template file. When this family is created, this object already exists before you even draw anything. Okay, and it's very important when you create a new family that you use the right template file to start. And in the template file, the surface-based template file that this family uses, it comes with this object. And I really encourage people to really don't create your own kind of components in electrical in Revit. Take one that's like yours and modify it. So that's why this lesson is so important, because you can take this series of videos, as you don't really need to learn how to create one of these from the ground up. You just need to know how to go in and take what's out of the box and go in and change it to make it look like what you want. And by doing so, you can actually take it and customize the stuff the way you really want. Once you totally understand how this all works, then you can go ahead maybe and create one from the ground up. But it's always highly recommended in the beginning, and even to date, I still take a lot of the out-of-the-box families, mainly MEP, and then just make those modifications. So inside of here, I'm going to go back to my wireframe, and I'm just going to do a big crossing box here like this, crossing box, which is going to select all those objects. You can see them down here as well. I'm going to use my filter button. You can see that there's really three objects. There's one connector, which is the circle object, and then there's two others, and the others are the solids. Those are the two extrusions that make up the box and the faceplate. So I'm just going to hit cancel on there, click in here and zoom in. And all I'm really showing you here is in this family, which again contains both of these views and any other view that you want to look at this object. It's only when you look at the level floor plan that you see this annotation guy. But inside of here, there's one extrusion here, and you can go in and change that if you want, and make it thicker. Oh, it looks like it's got a parameter and it's locked, so you can't change it. Okay, just thought I would try that. And I don't want to, but we could. You see that plate right there is tied to these reference planes, which are given specific dimensions and told not to change in specific views. So outside of that, there's really not much in this family. There's a faceplate, there's this connector, there's this box, and that's it. Okay, and it's kind of stuck on this surface. If I look at the plan view of this very same family, you're going to notice there's some reference planes. And if I pick on this reference plane, you'll see that when I hover, it says the name of it is center front back. If I hover over this one in the middle here, you'll see the name of that is center left right. And if I pick on here and I go and look at the properties of that, it's going to say defines origin. So that defines where the 0, 0 is the insertion point of this family. So I'm going to hit exit, close that off. So that's kind of important that these two right here are different from these guys that don't form origins, but they do lock down the geometry. Okay, so this is more or less, this view here is the top view of looking down on here. If I was to take this and shift around and look at it right from the very top, okay, although this is a 3D view, this view is a 3D view of the top view, and this is an actual plan view, norm to it. The difference is this, I can always shift middle mouse and change my view back to be 3D. So this is a 3D view. So all there is in this file is there's this extrusion, there's this extrusion, there's this connector, and then when you get to this view, there's this little guy here. And then if I say edit family, okay, it opens up this guy. Okay, so this is my circle with my lines and stuff like that. So this guy here also has some reference planes. Let's talk about this for a little minute here. So inside of this view, and it really, when you pick your properties and stuff, it depends on which window is active. Remember, this is one file. This is a project file over here. These are two different views of the same project file. These are two different views of the family file, and this is one view of this annotation family file, which is nested inside of here. And once it gets populated with a label, it shows up a little bit different over here. An annotation family will adjust to the scale way down in here. When we change the scale here, these 3D components here and here aren't going to change size, but this little annotation guy will change size, or will adjust to the scale, I should say. Okay, so watch. If I pan and look over here, okay, if you go up here in this view and hit the family category and pick on here, you can see it says it's a generic annotation. That's kind of important. Okay, if I hit cancel, if I go over to this family file and then I go up and pick that same family category button, you can see it is an electrical fixture. Okay, so this is a generic annotation family category, which is embedded in a electrical fixture family category, and then the electrical fixture is placed in a project. So in this project, if I choose to turn off electrical fixtures, this guy's going to turn off. If I pick inside of this view and I type VV on the keyboard to go into visibility graphics, and I'm just going to cancel on here. If I go down to electrical fixtures and turn off that category, okay, and click OK, it's going to disappear out of this view. Okay, not this view, because the visibility graphics is specific to that view. Okay, so I'm just going to undo that back. Okay, so the annotation family gets placed in the electrical fixture family, which gets placed in the project file, and then the project file can choose to turn on or off that category type, almost like a layer in AutoCAD. So now back over to here. So let's say I wanted to make a change. What you have to do is make the change here, save this, reload this into here, take this, save it, reload it into here, and then you'll see your change take place. Okay, so we have a little bit of time. Why don't we demonstrate that? Okay, what am I going to do? Well, let's just do something really easy. Let's just take this line and let's go copy that line from here to, certain distance away. Oh, what does it say? Element is too small on the screen. Hit cancel over here. Zoom out. Now, I am wondering, this doesn't have a scale to it. If I hover over that, I can see that it's a line. If I click on here, it is a generic annotation line. Okay, let me try just drawing a line by default. I'm in this view. I'm going to go to create, and I'm going to say draw a line. Okay, and I'm going to, because it's giving me this too small thing, I'm going to draw a big line right here. Pick and use my shift key to keep it straight. Escape. Not sure why it was giving me that line is too small, but I'm going to pick on there. Basically draw a line. Use my grips and stuff like that. Okay. I don't like that. I'm going to hit delete, start again. Okay. Back to my line tool. Create, line. Why not start right here at this quadrant? See if I can go down and do this right from the bat. Yeah. Hit escape. I'm not sure why I got that error the first time. So, drawing a line from the top quadrant, notice it snapped down to there. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Now, the other thing you have to be careful with is as we start to save this, you have to remember, do you want to overwrite the other family? Okay, so that's kind of one of the things that you have to keep in mind. So this is a duplex annotation family. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up to my big purple R and say Save As Family. Okay, and I'm going to take it and I'm putting my family files in here, and I'm going to call this duplex annotation, and I'm just going to put a DG in front of it just so it has my initial, so it's a little bit different. And watch, hit save, now it's saved. Now I've given it a different name, so when I reload it into here, the change isn't going to take place because this guy is the original nested family, and this one has a new name now. So we have to kind of be a little bit smart as far as juggling of files and stuff here. This is where it starts to get a little bit tricky when you have all kinds of things open at the same time and you're renaming stuff as you go. So inside of here, I can click inside of here. I've done my save, and I'm going to say load into project. First thing is it's a little bit misleading because I'm not really loading this into a project. Even though I'm picking that button, I'm loading it into a family. So when I pick load into projects, it's going to say, well, this is what you have open. You have project 3 open, which is this guy, and you have this duplex receptacle family open. Where do you want to push it to? Well, I don't want to push it up to here. I only want to push it to there. So I hit OK, and all of a sudden, whoop, it gets pushed into this file. And look what's at the end of my crosshair right there. Okay. If I had left it with the same name, it would have asked me to overwrite this annotation family, and I would have said yes, overwrite the family. And then it would get brought in. In this case, because I renamed it, I've got an actual different family on the end of my mouse, and I don't really have to do anything. I can place it, but I can just hit escape because all I wanted to do was get it in here. Now watch what happens. I'm going to pick on this annotation family, and I'm going to go up to the properties of it, and I'm going to say, you're not a duplex annotation. You are the DG duplex annotation. Click out. Now it's going to look like this guy because I've done a change, saved this, renamed it, loaded it into here, took this guy, and then changed him to be the other guy. Now that I have that in there, I could go down in this file and do some cleanup afterwards and delete that original annotation. See the duplex annotation, this is the new one. Okay, so now from inside of here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to save this and rename it and load it into here and then change these guys. Okay, if I don't rename it, you can do this exact same process, but you're going to get a window that says to do you want to overwrite the previous object with or without overwriting the parameters. You can choose either one of those and it'll work for you. So now inside of here, I've done my changes, and now I can say, okay, same thing. File, save as, family. Do I want to save this project? No, I'm not going to worry about that for now. That's just a warning. And I'm going to call it DG, my initials, duplex receptacle.rfa. Boom. Now this has been saved with this new nested guy inside of here. I can pick in either one of these windows and say load into project, and this time I'm going to load it up into project 3. Hit OK, loads that into project 3, and then inside of here I can go and sit and zoom in and place that. Once again, it has a different name, so it's not interfering with the original. I can place one if I want, or I can hit escape. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now that I'm inside of here, I can take this guy and I can go to the properties of it and I can change it to be the DG version of that GFI, and it'll change it to look like this. Okay. Or I can actually use my handy paint tool by going to modify and using my match type and take this and match it to this and this. Okay, so now they're the new family and the new type. So maybe I don't want it to be GFI. I do want it to be the DG one, but I don't want it to be GFI. I want it to be just standard. Clicking out. Okay, maybe I want this guy to be standard as well. Pick on there, properties palette, click on there, click out. Okay, so in this lesson, all I wanted to get across was the kind of the chain of command on how things work, and in a very simple way of adding in some line work to this guy, saving it. I could have kept the same name, loaded it into here, overrode it, saved this, took this, loaded into here, overrode it, and then I would end up with. I chose to rename them as I went along to kind of parallel a little renaming lesson inside of there. Okay. So now what I would probably want to do at this point is if I was done, I could go in here and say, save this guy, pick over here, save this guy, and the project I haven't saved yet, so it's going to ask me to place it, and I'll place it in here and I'll just call it, project 3. Sounds good. Now I could close down my Revit, and this guy sits by itself. Really by itself, it doesn't do a whole lot. Uh, until, I shouldn't say that. You could technically bring this into here and use it as an annotation family. So we have 3 files, an annotation family, a electrical fixture family, and we have a project file over here. So we'll come on back and continue this process of kind of going back and forth between here, and hopefully you'll start to get the hang of things.